There are places in Pennsylvania where the night never feels empty. Places where the air grows colder the closer you walk to the railing. And where footsteps echo behind you even when you swear you are alone. These are the bridges where history refuses to stay silent. Where tragedies linger. And where the dead have learned to walk across the same paths as the living. Tonight, we are stepping onto the forgotten crossings of Pennsylvania. Bridges that hold whispers, shadows, and chilling encounters that thousands of travelers still cannot explain. So take a deep breath, and whatever you do, do not look back while crossing the next bridge, because something might be following you. Welcome everyone, and warm greetings to you. Thank you for being here as we explore another journey into the darker side of America. Pennsylvania is known for its small towns, its forests, its winding rural roads, and its centuries of history. But hidden among this quiet beauty are places where the past has left deep scars, places where the living feel watched, and where the dead seem unwilling to let go. Bridges may seem harmless, just structures of wood, steel, stone, but in Pennsylvania, some crossings carry more than traffic. They hold tragic legends, lost souls, and unexplained phenomena that have terrified visitors for generations. Tonight, we walk together across the most haunted bridges in the state, bridges where spirits wander, where footsteps echo from nowhere. Where screams rise from the dark water below, and where shadows appear right beside you, only to vanish when you turn your head. Before we take our first step into this chilling journey, I want to ask you something important. Have you ever crossed a bridge at night and felt like something was watching you from the darkness below? Share your experience in the comments. Because tonight, you might hear a story that feels eerily familiar. Now, let us begin our descent into Pennsylvania's most haunted bridges, one by one, step by step. The Crybaby Bridge near Alliance, Pennsylvania appears simple and quiet during the day, hidden among trees, winding farmland, and the gentle flow of water beneath its worn boards. Sunlight softens its edges, making it look like any other rural crossing. Birds perch on the railings, breezes whisper through the branches, and the world feels peaceful. Yet even in daylight, some visitors sense that the bridge carries a heaviness, as though something lingers just beyond the edge of perception, waiting for nightfall to reveal itself. When the sun begins to sink behind the tree line, the mood changes. Shadows stretch across the bridge, filling its length with an uneasy stillness. The woods that surround it grow quiet, and the soft rustle of leaves fades into a kind of expectant silence. The farmland beyond feels distant, separated by a veil of dusk that slowly thickens. Those who know the stories say this is when the bridge begins to wake. Local legend tells of a young mother who once crossed the bridge on a stormy night long ago. Details vary depending on who tells the story, but they all share the same ending. The mother and child never made it home. What happened in those final moments remains a mystery. But many believe that the grief and fear experienced that night imprinted itself on the bridge, leaving behind echoes of a tragedy that refuses to fade. As darkness falls completely, visitors claim the atmosphere becomes almost tangible. A chill settles over the boards, drifting across the surface like a cold breath rising from the water below. Even on warm nights, the temperature drops enough to make the air feel dense and unmoving. The sounds of the woods grow muted, replaced by a low hum of stillness that touches the edges of the mind, urging caution. That's the end of the script. It is during these moonless nights that reports grow most intense. Travelers standing alone or passing through describe hearing a faint cry drifting from the shadows. At first, it sounds distant, barely louder than the trickle of water beneath the bridge. Some say it resembles the soft whimper of a newborn, fragile and wavering, while others hear a more desperate sound, as though the child is calling out for someone who never arrives. The cry slowly strengthens, growing clearer and louder. Many who have heard it speak of the sensation that it is moving toward them. Step by step. Breath by breath. until it reaches a point where it seems to hover just beside them, close enough to touch. And then, without warning, it falls silent, leaving only the rustle of leaves and the pounding of their own heart. Visitors who remain long enough on the bridge sometimes describe another experience, one that is far more unsettling. They report feeling a gentle tug at their clothes, as if small fingers are clutching at fabric, as if a child trying to gain attention. These touches come lightly at first, brushing against pant legs or jacket hems, like a child trying to gain attention. The cold that accompanies these sensations is sharp and unmistakable, sliding across the skin in thin, icy trails. Some describe the feeling of tiny hands pressing against their back or side, not forceful, but persistent, as though a child is pleading to be found, reaching out from a place no longer bound by life. These encounters often leave visitors frozen in place, unsure whether to run or stay, overwhelmed by the presence of something they cannot see yet clearly feel. But the most haunting reports come from those who have witnessed a figure on the bridge. On certain nights, when fog curls low across the water and the woods fall utterly still, some claim to see the outline of a woman standing at the center of the crossing. Her form appears faint and pale, as if carved from the mist itself. She is said to wear a long gown, flowing just above the boards, swaying as though moved by a breeze no one else can feel. Her head remains bowed, and her arms cradle something close to her chest, rocking gently in a slow, rhythmic motion. Those who observe her say it looks like she is holding a baby, comforting it, protecting it, even though nothing is visible within her arms. Witnesses describe a growing tension in the air as they draw nearer to the apparition. The temperature drops further, and an overwhelming sense of sorrow fills the space around her. It is a sorrow that seems ancient, layered with fear, love, and desperation. Some feel it pressing against them, urging them to stop, warning them not to continue forward. But curiosity draws some people closer. Those who approach too near say the woman begins to stir. She lifts her head slowly, as though it takes great effort. When her face becomes visible, the room of reality seems to narrow around her. Her eyes appear empty, hollow shapes that hold no reflection, no light, only the impression of endless searching. It is said that she stares straight through anyone who meets her gaze, as if looking beyond the living world into some place unreachable. This moment marks the climax of most encounters. The woman's gaze, though vacant, seems to penetrate deeply. Some witnesses claim they feel her emotions flooding into them, a mixture of longing and fear. Others say the air becomes thick, making it difficult to breathe, as though the bridge itself is holding them still. And then, as quickly as she appeared, she fades. The fog swallows her form. The night returns to its natural rhythm. Only the memory remains, imprinted on the mind with a clarity that time cannot easily erase. The Crybaby Bridge stands today as more than a simple rural structure. It is a place where past and present intertwine, where sorrow echoes through the dark, and where visitors come face to face with stories that have lived for generations. Whether one believes in spirits or not, the experiences shared on this bridge hint at something that defies explanation. Those who journey here leave with a deeper respect for the mysteries hidden in quiet places. A reminder that even the most ordinary locations can carry echoes of moments long gone, reaching through time to brush against those willing to listen. Sacks-covered bridge in Gettysburg stands quietly over Marsh Creek. Its wooden beams weathered by time. Its presence steeped in the memories of a nation torn apart. This bridge is more than a landmark. It feels heavy, as though the weight of the past still clings to every plank. Every shadow, every breath of wind that moves through the dim interior. During the Civil War, this bridge carried more than soldiers and supplies. According to local accounts, it became the grim stage for the execution of Confederate deserters. Men who fled the chaos of battle were brought here to meet their fate. Their final moments unfolded beneath the same beams that visitors walk under today. The dark rafters once held the lifeless bodies of those whose fear outweighed their loyalty, turning the bridge into a place marked by sorrow and finality. And Sachs-covered bridge is no exception. Visitors crossing the bridge today report an overwhelming sense of being watched. The feeling arrives suddenly, pressing in from all sides, as if unseen guards stand at their posts. The air grows still, the temperature shifts, and the silence becomes strangely alert. The presence is subtle at first, like faint eyes studying your every move, waiting for something they alone understand. Those who walk here at night tell more vivid stories. The sound of boots marching in perfect rhythm echoes across the planks. The pattern is unmistakable. Heel, toe, heel, toe. Steady, disciplined, unbroken. Yet when visitors turn around, the bridge is empty. The darkness gives nothing back. The footsteps continue for a moment longer, then fade with unnatural precision. As though an entire line of soldiers has simply vanished mid-stride. Sometimes the steps do not fade. They stop right behind you. Close enough that the hairs on your neck stand on end. Close enough that you feel a slow, cold breath linger against your skin. The air seems to pull inward, carrying the memory of lives cut short and orders never questioned. In these moments, the atmosphere tightens. A sudden cold wave sweeps through the bridge, far deeper than the night air around it. Something almost aware. Want to ensure the living remember where they stand. Whispers follow the chill. Soft, fragmented, drifting from the far corners of the bridge. The words are impossible to understand, yet the tone carries emotion. Urgency. Sorrow. Command. No one can pinpoint the source, and the sound moves in a way that seems to defy direction. The sound moves in a way that seems to defy direction. It circles the rafters, dips between the beams, and fades into the shadows. The whispers do not feel like remnants of the past. They feel active, present, involved. Some visitors walk faster, trying to escape the unseen presence. Others stop, hoping to catch another sound, another clue to what lingers here. There are reports of pale figures appearing between the wooden slats. They often resemble soldiers from the Civil War era. The uniforms are faintly outlined, the shapes misty and incomplete. Faces appear blurred, as if refusing to be recognized. Some figures stand motionless, watching. Others seem to move with the slow determination of men carrying out a duty that never ended. Photographs taken on the bridge reveal even more unsettling images. Shadows that do not match the lighting. Figures with no solid form. Pale silhouettes positioned along the beams where no living person stood. The details remain unclear, but the impressions are unmistakable. Something inhabits the space. Something old, persistent, and unwilling to fade. During the late evening, the fog in this area rolls in quickly, wrapping the bridge in a thick, shifting veil. The outlines of the wooden trusses blur, and the world outside the structure disappears. Many visitors describe the sensation of stepping into a different time, as though the bridge temporarily separates itself from the modern world. The quiet becomes deeper, the air colder, and every sound carries farther than it should. In this fog, apparitions appear most often. Some stand at the edges of the bridge, partially hidden by drifting mist. Others linger along the path leading up to the entrance, their shapes fading in and out of view as though struggling against the boundary between worlds. Hikers encountering these forms often freeze, unable to tell whether they are seeing reflections, tricks of the mist, or something far more profound. The energy on the bridge is unique. It does not feel malicious, but it is commanding. It holds the gravity of a place where life and death once converged. Soldiers who once followed orders now patrol a space that echoes with history, tragedy, and memory. Their presence lingers as a testament to a moment in time that shaped the nation. When night settles fully across Gettysburg, the bridge becomes almost suspended in stillness. The soft creak of wood underfoot. The distant call of wildlife. And the rustle of leaves in the breeze create a backdrop for the paranormal activity that has made this site one of the most visited haunted locations in the region. Those who pause at the center of the bridge sometimes experience a moment of absolute silence. No insects. No footsteps. No wind. Just a void of sound that feels thick and unmoving. It is in these pockets of silence that many claim to sense the spirits most strongly. The weight of the past presses in from all sides, and the bridge seems to hold its breath. No insects. No footsteps. No wind. Just a void of sound that feels thick and unmoving. It is in these pockets of silence that many claim to sense the spirits most strongly. The weight of the past presses in from all sides, and the bridge seems to hold its breath. Sacks-covered bridge stands as a reminder of the lives lost during the war, the fear felt by deserters in their final moments, and the soldiers whose final acts were carried out beneath its beams. Today, the living walk among the shadows of those who endured unimaginable hardship, feeling their presence as a whisper, a footstep, or a cold breath in the night. This bridge is not merely haunted. It is a vessel for echoes that refuse to vanish. And those who cross it carry a piece of that history with them, long after they step back into the light. Donkey Lady Bridge in Reading, Pennsylvania is a place where darkness settles early, even before the sun dips behind the surrounding trees. The narrow road, the worn guardrails, and the echoing rise of water beneath the structure create an atmosphere that feels older than the town itself. Visitors describe an uncanny stillness here, a sense that the bridge does not simply cross a creek, but crosses into a realm where stories breathe and linger long after the people who told them have vanished. The legend tied to this bridge is one of the strangest and most unsettling in the state. Locals speak of a woman who once lived near the crossing, a quiet soul who struggled to find acceptance in a community that did not understand her. Some say she was born with unusual features. Others claim a childhood illness altered her appearance. Whatever the truth, the town shunned her. Whispered remarks followed her through markets and along dirt paths. Cruel stares pushed her deeper into isolation, and the weight of rejection settled heavily upon her life. As the story goes, a group of tormentors eventually targeted her with a malicious intent that would define the legend for generations. They chased her into the woods one night, their voices harsh, their footsteps pounding against the forest floor. Fear drove her deeper into the trees. And in the chaos, a fire ignited. No one knows how it started. Some believe it was deliberate. Others insist it was an accident born of panic. Flames engulfed the woods, spreading through brush and fallen branches, trapping her in a circle of heat and smoke. When the fire finally died, she was forever changed. Those who searched for her claimed she survived, but only just. Her body was disfigured, her skin scarred, her limbs twisted in unnatural angles. Her face, once merely different, now carried a shape that defied easy description. The townspeople recoiled, fueled by fear rather than compassion. Unable to return to a world that rejected her, she disappeared into the wilderness near the bridge, becoming an outcast in the deepest sense. From that moment forward, the legend says her spirit roamed the area, moving between the trees and the shadows cast by the bridge at night. Drivers began to report eerie encounters. Some described seeing a tall, thin figure standing near the guardrail, her limbs long and oddly angled, as if they no longer obeyed the rules of normal human movement. Others claimed her face resembled something caught between human and beast, a haunting blend of sorrow and fury etched into every distorted line. Those who cross the bridge late at night speak of tapping on their windows. Light at first, then more urgent. The sound is often followed by deep breathing, heavy and animalistic, coming from behind the vehicle. When drivers gather the courage to look into their rearview mirror, they sometimes notice a shape moving closer, even though the road behind them appears completely empty. The tapping persists, a rhythmic pulse against the glass, as though something unseen is trying to draw attention, or perhaps warn them. Other witnesses tell of hoof-like footsteps racing along the side of their car. The sound begins subtly, like distant clattering on the pavement, then grows sharper and faster, keeping perfect pace with their vehicle no matter how quickly they accelerate. Only when a chilling howl cuts through the night do the footsteps stop. Panic sets in, and most drivers speed away without ever looking back. Locals say that those who stop in the middle of the bridge experience the strangest encounters of all. Some report a sudden drop in temperature, far colder than the surrounding air. Others describe the sensation of being watched from multiple angles, though no one else stands on the road. A few even claim they heard soft crying drifting up from beneath the wooden beams, as if the bridge itself carries memories of the pain endured by the woman whose story became legend. The surrounding forest plays a powerful role in the atmosphere. Trees lean inward, their branches forming dark arches that frame the road leading to the bridge. Fog often lingers here longer than in other parts of Reading, curling around the trunks and drifting across the asphalt in slow, deliberate motions. The air feels heavier, quieter, as if holding its breath. Travelers find themselves checking their mirrors more often, startled by every shifting shadow, every whisper of wind. Those who study folklore suggest that the legend of Donkey Lady Bridge persists, because it embodies a tragic cycle of fear, misunderstanding, and isolation. Whether or not the woman truly existed in the way the stories describe, the emotional truth of the tale resonates deeply. It speaks of a person cast aside, pushed to the edge of society, and transformed by suffering. Her ghost, in this interpretation, represents the lasting echo of that injustice. Visitors continue to seek out the bridge, driven by curiosity or a desire to challenge the unknown. Many walk along its length, feeling the old planks vibrate under their feet, listening to the creek flow beneath them. A few claim they sense a presence lingering close by, quiet yet aware, watching from the forest's edge. The bridge has become a place where people test their courage, but also a place where the past seems to rise gently into the present, reminding them that every legend begins with a human life. Donkey Lady Bridge remains one of Pennsylvania's most compelling and eerie locations. The stillness, the strange encounters, and the powerful story at its core form an atmosphere that is haunting without aggression, mysterious without cruelty. For those who cross it at night, the memory of the experience lingers. The tapping sounds, the heavy breathing, and the racing footsteps become part of a tale they carry long after they leave the bridge behind, adding another layer to a legend that refuses to be forgotten. Van Sant Bridge sits quietly in the countryside of New Hope, Pennsylvania, surrounded by dense trees and rolling landscapes. During the day it appears calm, a picturesque relic from another era. Yet as night falls, the atmosphere changes. The wooden structure seems to hold its breath, and the darkness beneath its covered frame thickens into something far more mysterious. This place is known by many as Crybaby Bridge, a name that carries stories of sorrow, fear, and unexplained encounters that have lingered for generations. The bridge stretches over a narrow creek, its wooden planks worn smooth by time and countless footsteps. Visitors crossing it often feel an unusual heaviness in the air, a sensation that settles around them like a quiet warning. One of the most unsettling reports is the wailing cry of a child. The sound rises from beneath the planks, faint at first, almost blending with the flow of the water below. Listeners describe it as a soft sob that gradually becomes clearer, echoing through the hollow space under the bridge. The cry carries an emotion that feels ancient, not loud enough to frighten, but piercing enough to linger in the mind long after it fades. Faint whispers often follow the cries. They drift through the air around travelers, weaving between the wooden beams, brushing against ears with indistinct words. Some visitors recall feeling as though several voices move around them at once, circling the bridge in patterns that cannot be explained. The whispers rise and fall with the breeze, sometimes so quiet that they seem imagined, other times unmistakably present. Many believe the bridge is marked by multiple tragedies, though the details of these stories vary with each telling. Some say the sorrow of the land settled into the structure itself, leaving behind an echo of the past that replays through sound and shadow. Others suggest the location acts as a vessel for wandering spirits, a place that naturally draws energies that have yet to find peace. There are those who think the bridge serves as a kind of portal. They speak of the way the air shifts when one steps beneath its covered roof, of how the shadows lengthen in unusual ways, and how the sounds around them seem to exist outside normal explanation. This idea has become part of the lore, growing stronger with each new account of strange activity. Footsteps are among the most frequently reported experiences. Travelers walking across the bridge at night often hear the distinct sound of someone approaching from the opposite side. The steps echo steadily, slow and deliberate, as if someone is walking with careful intention. Yet no figure ever appears. The sound continues until the traveler reaches the center of the bridge, where it suddenly stops. This abrupt silence is perhaps the most unnerving moment. The steady rhythm of steps vanishes. The whispers fall still, and the entire bridge becomes frozen in a quiet that feels unnatural. Visitors describe this silence as heavy, as though the air itself presses inward, waiting for something to happen. Some feel watched, others feel surrounded, yet nothing visible moves. It is an emptiness that holds its own presence, deepening the mystery of the bridge. The center of Van Sant Bridge is often described as the heart of its paranormal activity. The wooden beams form a narrow tunnel of darkness where even the smallest sound echoes with unusual clarity. The scent of aged timber and damp earth fills the air, mixing with the cool breeze that slips through the open ends of the structure. Travelers who pause here often sense an unseen presence nearby, a faint outline that seems to shift just beyond the reach of sight. At times, the childlike cry returns, this time closer, reverberating through the center before fading away into the creek below. The whispers resume, circling the listener, never quite touching them but always close enough to create a feeling of deep unease. Some say they feel an unseen figure pass behind them, brushing the air with a chill that runs across the spine. Others have reported strange shadows moving along the inner walls. These shapes drift slowly at first, then disappear as quickly as they appeared. The darkness seems to move on its own, reacting to footsteps, breaths, and stillness. Occasionally, a flicker of light appears near the far end of the bridge, glowing briefly before vanishing. Many describe it as a lantern or candle flame, though no source is ever found. Others have reported strange shadows moving along the inner walls. These shapes drift slowly at first, then disappear as quickly as they appeared. The darkness seems to move on its own, reacting to footsteps, breaths, and stillness. Occasionally, a flicker of light appears near the far end of the bridge, glowing briefly before vanishing. Many describe it as a lantern or candle flame, though no source is ever found. The bridge's surroundings contribute to its atmosphere. The woods that envelop it grow dense as night deepens, creating a darkness that spreads across the creek and wraps around the structure. The wind moves through the trees with a low, restless whisper, adding to the sense that the land itself is alive with memory. The water beneath the bridge flows quietly, carrying reflections that ripple and distort with every shift of moonlight. While most encounters at Van Sant Bridge are sensory experiences, the emotional weight is just as powerful. Visitors often leave with a lingering feeling that they walked through a place where past and present meet. The stories, the sounds, and the atmosphere combine to create an experience that resonates long after leaving the site. The bridge stands as a reminder of the unknown, a place where sorrow and mystery converge. Whether the cries belong to a restless spirit or are simply echoes of legends carried forward through time, the feelings they invoke are undeniably real to those who hear them. The footsteps, the whispers, and the chilling silence at the center of the bridge create an environment unlike any other. Van Sant Bridge remains a powerful symbol of the unexplained. Night after night, it invites travelers to step into its shadowed frame, offering a glimpse into a world where mystery lingers at every corner. Its wooden beams hold stories that continue to unfold, drawing those who seek answers, and reminding them that not every question has a clear explanation. The experience stays with them, suspended between fear and fascination, long after they walk back into the light. The Purple Bridge in Perry Township stretches quietly across a narrow back road, its steel beams weathered by decades of rain, wind, and sun. By day, it looks like an ordinary rural crossing, a place where farm trucks pass with slow determination and the hum of insects fills the surrounding fields. The land around it is calm, dotted with patches of forest and open stretches of farmland. And nothing about it suggests the unsettling stories whispered by those who have visited after dark. Yet for generations, locals have spoken of strange sightings and chilling encounters. The bridge has earned its eerie reputation through countless accounts that share the same unsettling details. They speak not just of odd sounds or unexplained movement, but of something far more vivid. Something they believe rises from the earth itself. As dusk settles, the light fades behind the trees, and the bridge shifts in character. Its steel beams grow darker, sharper, and the shadows beneath it stretch far into the woods. This is when the stories begin. People claim that a thin layer of mist starts to gather at the far ends of the bridge. At first it looks harmless, little more than a faint shimmer drifting across the ground. But within moments, that mist begins to glow. A soft purple light pulses gently within it, as though something hidden deep beneath the soil is pushing upward. The glow intensifies, brightening enough to cast faint reflections across the metal rails. Visitors often describe feeling a sudden pressure in the air at this moment, as if the atmosphere itself tightens. Some report a soft humming sound, low and distant, drifting along the beams. As the purple mist climbs higher, the temperature begins to drop. A cool breath passes across the surface of the bridge. What starts as a gentle chill becomes sharper with every passing second, settling into the bones. For those who stop their car on the bridge, the mist reacts almost immediately. Witnesses describe the haze thickening around the vehicle, swirling slowly in spirals that rise from the ground like smoke. The glow brightens, casting eerie waves of violet across the windshield. The world outside grows muted and distant, as though the bridge has slipped into a different realm. It is within this thickening fog that many claim the figure begins to form. At first it appears as nothing more than a darker patch within the mist, a shadow suspended in the glowing air. Gradually, its shape sharpens. Long, thin limbs emerge from the haze, stretching unnaturally toward the beams above. Its torso appears tall, narrow, and unnervingly still. As the figure solidifies, its head tilts in a slow, deliberate motion, as if listening. This gesture appears in nearly every account given by those who claim to have seen it. The tilt is unnatural, angled too far to one side, as if something inside the mist is trying to understand the presence of the living. Some witnesses say the figure begins to move. Not with the heavy steps of a physical being, but with a silent glide. It drifts toward the stopped vehicle until it stands just inches away, its shadow stretching across the hood. People report feeling the weight of its presence pressing through the windows, filling the car with a suffocating cold. Others describe an even stranger phenomenon. As they wait in stunned silence, unable to move or speak, handprints begin to appear on the glass. They form slowly, one at a time, like impressions from unseen hands pressing against the windows. Some are small, others long and narrow, all emerging from the mist outside. These prints vanish as quickly as they appear, dissolving back into the purple glow. Visitors caught in this moment often speak of a sudden drop in temperature. The cold becomes brutal, biting straight through clothing. Breath becomes visible in the air. Some say the cold feels like it is being pulled from their bodies, as if the mist is draining every trace of warmth. The surroundings fade into a haze of purple and frost. For many, panic sets in. But those who try to start their cars or drive away often discover that the engine hesitates. The engine hesitates. Lights flicker. The vehicle trembles as though something is pressing against it. Eventually, with patience or desperation, the engine roars back to life, and the car lurches toward the road beyond the bridge. As the vehicle leaves the purple glow behind, the mist disperses. The air warms. The figure fades into nothing. By the time the end of the bridge passes beneath the wheels, everything looks normal again. But the experience lingers. People who escape describe the overwhelming silence that follows. The world feels too calm, too ordinary, as though reality is trying to smooth over what they have just witnessed. Many continue driving without looking back, afraid the mist might reappear if they do. The stories continue to circulate throughout Perry Township. Some believe the strange phenomenon is tied to the land beneath the bridge. Others think it is a remnant of a tragedy lost to history, something unresolved and searching for recognition. A few speak of natural energy lines or unexplained forces gathering at this lonely crossing. Regardless of the explanation, the accounts share a consistent and unsettling truth. Those who encounter the purple mist and the figure within it leave the bridge with a sense of having been observed by something beyond their understanding. A presence that listens, watches, and responds. The purple bridge remains a place where the familiar world feels thin. A place where mist rises from the earth carrying a glow that defies logic. A place where shadows take shape, reaching out from the haze to remind travelers that some mysteries still walk among us. For those brave enough to visit after dark, the bridge offers an experience that lingers long after the mist has faded. A reminder that even the quietest roads can hold secrets. And that sometimes, the answers lie waiting in the shadows of a glowing purple fog. Clay Furnace Bridge stands hidden in a quiet corner of Armstrong County, far from busy roads and bright city lights. The old iron frame rises above a narrow river, surrounded by dense trees that form a thick wall of branches on both sides. Fog often settles low across the water, drifting between the beams and clinging to the surface like a living veil. The bridge feels isolated, almost forgotten, yet it carries a presence that is impossible to ignore. For decades, locals have whispered stories about a young girl who drowned beneath the bridge. Her name has faded from memory, but the tragedy remains deeply rooted in the area. Some say she slipped while playing near the river. Others believe she was swept away during a storm that turned the calm water into a fast, churning current. Whatever the cause, her life ended beneath the same structure that stands there now, cold and silent above the moving river. Those who visit the bridge speak of an eerie atmosphere that settles the moment they approach. The air becomes heavy. The sounds of the forest grow faint. Even the wind seems to hesitate. The bridge feels like a place caught between two worlds, where the living walk close to memories that refuse to die. Strange experiences often begin with the sound of splashing water. Visitors hear it just beneath the surface, as though someone is thrashing for air. Yet when they look down, the river is calm and unbroken. The splashes continue, rhythmic and urgent, echoing against the metal frame of the bridge. It is a sound that should not exist on a still night, and it leaves those who hear it searching the water in confusion and fear. Some who stand on the bridge late at night describe hearing a faint voice calling for help. It begins softly, barely more than a whisper carried by the wind. The words are unclear, but the tone is unmistakable. It is the sound of someone pleading, someone desperate. The voice grows louder, stretching across the water and rising from the shadows beneath the bridge. Visitors often freeze, unsure whether to answer, unsure whether what they hear is from the living or something else entirely. When the voice echoes directly beneath their feet, the moment becomes unforgettable. The sound resonates through the iron floor, vibrating gently under their shoes. It feels impossibly close, as if the source of the cry is just inches below the surface. The river seems to hold its breath, and the entire bridge shifts into an unnerving stillness. Many people step back, their nerves overwhelmed by the intense and sudden connection to something they cannot see. Those who dare to lean over the railing sometimes witness the most chilling sight tied to this legend. The pale outline of a face slowly rises from the dark water. The eyes are wide open, lifeless yet watching. The mouth hangs open as if frozen mid-scream. For a brief moment, the face lingers just below the surface, a ghostly image suspended between water and air. Then it sinks back into the depths, leaving behind only a dim reflection on the river. Leaving behind only a dim reflection on the river. Witnesses often struggle to describe what they have seen. Some insist it looked like a child. Others say the features were distorted, as though shaped by the shifting water. A few claim the face matched an old photograph kept in local archives, though no one agrees on the exact details. What all accounts share is the sense of sorrow that follows. The image feels less like a warning and more like a desperate reach for attention or release. On nights when the fog thickens, the bridge becomes even more mysterious. The trees on both sides dissolve into a white haze. Footsteps sound muffled, as though absorbed by the mist. And the river below takes on a darker tone, the surface blending into the fog until it becomes impossible to see where air ends and water begins. In these conditions, the splashing sounds grow louder, as if amplified by the rolling fog. Some visitors describe hearing the faint sound of a child crying, though the direction of the sound is impossible to pinpoint. It drifts through the fog, rising and falling, sometimes seeming close enough to touch and other times fading into the distance. The bridge becomes a place of shadows and echoes, a place where the past feels very much alive. The fog curls around the railing and slips through the gaps in the iron floor, making it feel as though the bridge itself is breathing. Many believe the haunting originates from the unfinished story of the young girl who drowned. Her life ended abruptly, her final moments filled with fear and confusion. Some think her spirit remains trapped, endlessly replaying the struggle and calling out to anyone who might hear. Others believe she seeks acknowledgement, wanting the living to remember her name and her story, which time has nearly erased. Despite the chilling reports, Clay Furnace Bridge also carries a quiet beauty. The flow of the river, the rustle of leaves in the evening breeze, and the reflections of moonlight on the water create a peaceful setting. That contrasts sharply with the tales of haunting. It is this juxtaposition that makes the location so compelling. The serenity of nature hides a deeper layer, one shaped by tragedy and lingering presence. As visitors leave the bridge, many report a final cold sensation passing over them. It is brief but unmistakable, as if something brushes by, acknowledging their presence. Some interpret it as a farewell, others think it is a reminder that the bridge holds a story not easily forgotten. The feeling lingers long after the sound of the river fades behind them. Clay Furnace Bridge remains a quiet place, tucked away from the rush of everyday life. Yet the echoes of the past continue to ripple through the air and across the water. Those who step onto its old iron frame often come seeking history or curiosity. Many leave with a sense of something far deeper, touched by the haunting atmosphere of a location where a young life ended too soon. In the stillness of the night, when the river moves softly beneath the weight of the fog, the legend lives on. The splashing sounds return. The faint voice calls for help. And the pale face rises once more from the depths, reminding all who witness it that some stories never truly fade. Adams Road Bridge in Beaver County may look like an ordinary crossing during the daylight hours. Sunlight filters through the nearby trees, the creek flows quietly beneath the beams, and the narrow stretch of road seems calm and unremarkable. To someone passing through for the first time, there is nothing unusual here. Nothing to suggest that when night falls, the entire atmosphere transforms into something far more unsettling. As twilight fades and the sky deepens into darkness, the bridge takes on a different presence. The wind carries a sharper edge. The distant hum of traffic fades until only the soft rush of the creek remains. Locals warn that after midnight, the quiet turns heavy, as if the bridge itself is waiting for something to happen. Travelers who cross the bridge late at night often describe an unexpected shift beneath their feet. They say the structure begins to tremble, not enough to be dangerous, but enough to make the boards vibrate subtly. It feels as though something is moving directly underneath, brushing against the beams, pacing along the length of the bridge in slow, deliberate motion. The trembling usually lasts only a few seconds, but those seconds leave a lasting impression. Visitors find themselves stepping faster, glancing over their shoulders, convinced they are not alone. The sense of being watched grows stronger the farther they walk, as though eyes are following their every move from beneath the bridge or the tree line beyond. A number of witnesses claim to have seen a tall, thin shadow figure. The figure does not move. It simply waits, positioned as though guarding the crossing or observing anyone who dares to enter. Its height is unnatural, its outline too narrow, almost stretched. Some say its presence is felt before it is seen, a sudden heaviness in the air that settles like a warning. Those who have encountered this dark shape describe a chilling silence that follows. Birds stop calling. The wind stops rustling the branches. Even the creek seems to soften its flow. The figure does nothing more than stand. Yet the effect is powerful, pressing against the nerves of anyone who approaches. Drivers often slow their cars, unsure if the shape is a trick of the shadows or something far more real. For those courageous enough to stop their vehicle on the bridge, a different experience awaits. After turning off the engine, most people sit quietly, listening to the night settle around them. Then, from somewhere beyond the reach of their headlights, slow footsteps begin to approach. The footsteps move at a steady pace, too heavy to be from a small animal. Some listeners say the footsteps circle the vehicle, creating the sensation of being examined from every angle. Once the footsteps reach the driver's side, a faint tapping emerges on the window, soft but unmistakable. When passengers gather the courage to look, they see nothing but the dark road and the surrounding trees. The tapping stops as suddenly as it began, leaving behind an unnerving silence. A few witnesses report the chilling sensation that something unseen stands just outside the car, waiting. The air becomes cold, far colder than the surrounding night. Some feel an icy pressure against the windows, while others say they sense the outline of a figure leaning close, just beyond the glass. When the driver starts the engine again, the atmosphere shifts back to normal, as if whatever lingered outside simply retreats into the shadows. The strange phenomenon does not end with footsteps or tapping. Even when the bridge undergoes repairs, the same cold spots return. Workers repaint the metal rails, replace planks, and strengthen the supports. Yet the unsettling chill never leaves the crossing. People walking across the bridge often stop suddenly when they step into a patch of freezing air that seems to hover in place. The coldness is intense, like stepping into the remnants of something that passed by moments before. Some locals believe the bridge's energy is tied to an old story passed down through generations. Though details vary, most versions involve a tragedy near the creek, where someone is said to have disappeared under mysterious circumstances. Perhaps the shadow figure is connected to that event. Perhaps the footsteps belong to a present searching for something lost long ago. In a place as old as Beaver County, stories blur with memory. And memory blurs with the unexplained. What makes Adams Road Bridge so compelling is the consistency of the reports. Different people, at different times, describe the same vibrations. The same shadow figure. And the same tapping on their windows. Even those who do not believe in paranormal encounters admit that something about this bridge feels off. As if the environment holds an invisible weight that cannot be fully explained. As travelers cross the bridge, they often look toward the creek below, expecting to see something moving in the water. They peer into the dark spaces beneath the beams, searching for clues. They glance behind them, certain that footsteps are following. The experience stays with them long after they leave, lingering in their thoughts as a quiet reminder that not every place becomes still at night. Some locations awaken. Adams Road Bridge continues to draw those who are curious, those who are brave, and those who simply want to understand the stories for themselves. On calm nights, the bridge may look harmless. But beneath that quiet surface lies an atmosphere thick with mystery. The trembling boards, the cold patches, the shadowy figure, and the circling footsteps all contribute to a haunting presence that refuses to fade. No matter how many repairs are made or how much paint is added to its rails, the strange energy always returns. The bridge seems to hold on to its secrets, guarding them within the darkness that settles after midnight. For anyone who crosses it during those late hours, Adams Road Bridge offers not just a passage over the creek, but a journey into the unknown. Where every sound, every shadow, and every chill in the air may be a sign that something unseen is closer than you ever imagined. The Drybulbus Station Bridge in Berks County stands quietly over the water, a wooden relic from another era. By day it feels peaceful, almost timeless, with soft beams of sunlight slipping between the boards and the slow hum of the countryside surrounding it. But when night settles across the fields, the bridge takes on a different life. Locals say its calm exterior hides a deeper story, one rooted in tragedy from the late 1800s. They speak of a man whose life ended here in a sudden accident, and whose presence is still felt in the shadows. Many visitors describe an uncanny sensation as soon as they step inside after dark. The world outside fades into silence, leaving only the creaking wood beneath their feet. Then, without warning, a new sound begins to rise from deep within the bridge. It starts faintly, like distant movement on old planks, and slowly grows more distinct. People say it resembles wagon wheels rolling steadily across the wood, as if an unseen carriage is making its way through the darkness. But no wagon has crossed this bridge in more than a century. The path is quiet now, reserved for those who come seeking its history and its mysteries. The sounds do not end with the turning of phantom wheels. Visitors also report hearing the echo of hoofbeats moving in perfect rhythm. At first the beats are far away, almost part of the imagination, but then they grow louder and sharper. Some say the hoofbeats rush toward them with surprising speed, filling the entire bridge with a pounding intensity. Just when it seems as though the unseen horse is about to appear, the sound stops abruptly. Nothing moves. Nothing breathes. The sudden silence can feel even more unnerving than the footsteps themselves. Those who have stood inside the bridge during these moments often describe an overwhelming feeling of being watched. The darkness at the far end of the passage seems to thicken, forming a deep black shape that blocks the faint light coming from the outside. Witnesses say it looks like a tall figure standing motionless, waiting, listening, holding its place with an almost purposeful stillness. When brave visitors try to approach, the shape fades away, dissolving into the shadows as if it had never been there at all. The memory of it lingers long after, leaving a chill that settles deep into the bones. Sometimes the haunting touches more than the ears and the eyes. There are moments when a faint scent drifts through the air, carried by no breeze. People describe the unmistakable smell of smoke floating inside the bridge. It arrives suddenly, hangs in the air, and then vanishes without explanation. For many, the scent feels like a clue, a brief replay of the moment when tragedy struck long ago. The smoke seems to whisper of the event that changed the bridge forever. As if the past is trying to break through the present. These experiences have turned the Drybulbis Station Bridge into one of the most talked about historic sites in the region. Visitors come not only to appreciate its craftsmanship and rural charm, but also to feel the strange energy that surrounds it after nightfall. A place where the boundary between the living and the echoes of history feels unusually thin. Those who walk across at dusk often describe a stillness that settles around them. The soft rustle of leaves outside fades, replaced by a quiet tension that grips the air. The wooden beams overhead cast long shadows that sway gently, moving like figures shifting in the darkness. Every step forward feels like an invitation into another time, a moment suspended between the present and the lingering traces of the past. Even those who do not hear the wagon wheels or hoofbeats still feel the subtle presence of something unseen. Some speak of a coldness that drifts along their arms, or the faint sensation of someone standing behind them for a brief moment. Others describe an instinctive pull to look over their shoulder, as though the bridge itself is alive and observing every step. The atmosphere is never threatening, but it carries a weight that is hard to ignore. Over the years, countless stories have been shared by locals and travelers alike. Some recall walking through and feeling a gentle vibration under their feet, as though the planks were responding to footsteps that did not belong to them. Others say they saw a flicker of movement at the corner of their vision, something dark, something swift, something that disappeared before they could fully understand what they had seen. These brief encounters build the legend piece by piece, adding new layers to a story already rich with mystery. What makes the Drybulbis Station Bridge so compelling is not only the paranormal experiences, but also the emotional atmosphere that surrounds it. There is a sense of respect here, a quiet acknowledgement that the bridge has witnessed more than time can easily erase. The structure holds its history within its beams, and the stories passed down through generations keep that history alive. Walking across the bridge at night is like stepping into a living memory. The air feels heavier. The shadows move with intention. Each sound carries meaning, whether it is a soft creak of wood or the sudden roar of silence. Visitors find themselves slowing down, breathing carefully, listening closely for any sign that the past is stirring once again. For some, the bridge offers a peaceful kind of reflection. Standing in the darkness, surrounded by the faint echoes of history, they feel connected to something larger than themselves. The world becomes quiet and still. And the bridge seems to offer a moment of understanding, a reminder that every place has a story and every story leaves an imprint. For others, the experience is more intense. They come seeking answers, searching for the source of the phantom sounds. Hoping to glimpse the dark figure that guards the far end. Whether or not they find what they are looking for, they leave with a sense of wonder. The mystery of the Drybulbis Station Bridge remains intact, refusing to be fully explained. The darkness closes in. The haunting here does not rely on fear. Instead, it invites curiosity. It encourages visitors to consider the layers of time woven into every wooden plank. It sparks imagination, whispers of past lives, and recalls a tragedy that has never completely faded. As the night deepens and the air cools, the bridge continues to stand in silence, watching over the winding road and the calm water below. The memories of the past flow through it like a quiet current, touching those who pass through with a gentle reminder that stories never truly disappear. They linger in the stillness, in the echoes, in the shadows that move just beyond the lantern light. The Drybulbis Station Bridge remains one of Berks County's most captivating historic places. Its beauty lies not only in its architecture, but in the invisible presence that seems to walk alongside every visitor. Some come seeking history, others come seeking the unexplained. But all leave with the sense that this bridge holds far more than its wooden frame can reveal. In the quiet darkness, the sounds of the past may rise once more. Wagon wheels rolling across old planks. Hoofbeats approaching through the shadows. A figure standing at the exit, waiting, watching, fading away as footsteps draw near. And sometimes, just sometimes, the faint smell of smoke reminds those passing through that the story of this bridge is still unfolding. Mudlick Hollow Bridge sits deep in Fayette County, surrounded by dense forest that seems to press in from every side. The air here feels heavier, as though the trees themselves are holding their breath, and the silence stretches farther than it should. During the day, the bridge looks unremarkable, worn with age and moss creeping along its wooden planks. But when darkness falls, the atmosphere changes. Shadows grow longer, and the forest seems to thrum with a quiet energy that is almost imperceptible, yet deeply unsettling. Local legends suggest that this remote area was once home to a small settlement. Records are scarce, and the stories that remain are vague. But they all share one chilling detail. The settlement vanished without explanation. No evidence of the residents, no abandoned homes or belongings. Just an empty clearing that slowly filled with trees. Some believe that the people left in a hurry. Or perhaps were taken by forces unknown. Whatever the cause, the memory of the vanished town clings to the land. And some say it still whispers through the trees. Travelers who cross the bridge late at night report a feeling of being watched. A sensation that intensifies as they move deeper into the forest. The words are unintelligible, foreign, almost musical in their cadence. It is not a single voice, but many, overlapping and rising from different parts of the forest. Some describe it as a warning, others as a summons, but all agree that it is impossible to ignore. Alongside the voices, witnesses describe strange red lights flickering between the trees. The lights do not behave like fireflies or lanterns. They move slowly, deliberately, as if observing those who traverse the bridge. The color is unnatural, deep and pulsing, and when it shifts, it seems to follow the observer, always just at the edge of sight. Many who have seen the lights say they cannot be explained by any earthly source. The bridge itself becomes a focal point for these experiences. Drivers crossing after dark often notice the air growing colder, a tangible chill that seeps through clothing and skin. The wood underfoot feels almost alive, resonating with an energy that cannot be measured. Some say the planks creak not from age, but as if responding to unseen footsteps. Even those who arrive by car and remain inside report feeling a presence hovering near the edges of the vehicle, something patient and watchful, lingering just out of reach. For some, the encounters extend beyond auditory and visual phenomena. Visitors recount returning to their vehicles after exploring the bridge to find deep scratch marks along the doors. The scratches are long and jagged, impossible to produce by any local wildlife, yet they appear consistently in the same areas. Some have tried to explain them as branches or accidental damage, but the placement and severity suggest deliberate intent. The markings vanish only after the observer leaves the area, reinforcing the impression that the forest itself reacts to human presence. The forest surrounding Mudlick Hollow Bridge is alive with sensation. Trees seem to sway in patterns that do not match the wind. Shadows lengthen and twist unnaturally. The distant sound of water rushing beneath the bridge can sometimes be heard. Though the creek below appears shallow and calm. Even the most skeptical visitors report an instinctive need to move quickly across the bridge. A sense that lingering could invite danger. Night after night, these reports repeat. The chanting, the red lights, the scratches, and the sensation of being watched. Each account adds to the bridge's reputation as a place where the ordinary rules of nature seem suspended. People who have dared to linger, whether out of curiosity or disbelief, often speak of a presence that is patient, deliberate, and aware. It is not aggressive in the conventional sense, but its attention is unmistakable, and many leave with a lingering unease that follows them well beyond the forest's edge. Those familiar with the stories caution against visiting after dark. Even the most experienced explorers note that the forest shifts in ways that are hard to explain. Paths seem to lengthen, landmarks appear displaced, and the voices grow louder the longer one stays. Some say that the forest remembers those who enter, recording their presence in whispers and scratches that only the brave or foolish will encounter. Mudlick Hollow Bridge remains a place of quiet terror and mystery. The forest holds its secrets tightly. And the bridge stands as a sentinel between the world of the living and the memories of the vanished settlement. Visitors are drawn by curiosity, legends, or simple thrill-seeking. But all who experience the bridge at night report a sense that the forest is watching, waiting, and remembering. For those who cross it, the bridge leaves more than memories. It leaves a feeling that the ordinary world is thinner here. That the veil between past and present, seen and unseen, is fragile. Mudlick Hollow Bridge is more than a crossing over water. It is a threshold into a forest that has witnessed disappearance. Listen to countless steps. And perhaps will continue to do so for generations to come. The stories endure, passed down through whispers, warnings, and first-hand experiences. Each visitor adds another layer to the bridge's legacy, another chapter in the ongoing narrative of Mudlick Hollow. And for those who drive past in silence, the forest remains, patient and still, its secrets held tightly among the trees, waiting for the next traveler to venture too far, too long, into its depths. Phelps Road Bridge stretches across a quiet, shadowed portion of Tioga County, its concrete frame standing stark against the surrounding forest. The bridge carries little traffic, and at night the road leading to it becomes cloaked in silence. Fog often rolls in from the nearby creek, hugging the treetops and spilling onto the pavement, creating a scene that feels both beautiful and unnervingly isolated. Locals speak of a ghostly woman who appears at the far end of the bridge after midnight. She is said to wear a long white gown that drapes to the ground, moving not at all as though anchored by something unseen. Her head remains slightly lowered, and her long hair falls over her face, hiding her features from the world. Those who have seen her describe a presence so still and silent that it seems impossible for anyone to stand there for long without feeling the weight of her gaze. Drivers who encounter her often react with instinctive fear. Some have tried to honk their horns, thinking that noise or motion might frighten her away. Yet the woman does not move. She remains rooted to the spot, her figure illuminated only by the faint glow of passing headlights or the moonlight filtered through the fog. It is this absolute stillness that unnerves people most, as if the bridge itself has become a threshold between the natural world and something far darker. After a few moments, she slowly raises her head. When her face is finally revealed, the horror becomes undeniable. Hollow black eyes stare directly into those who approach, unblinking and impossibly deep. The gaze feels almost alive, penetrating through the fog and into the mind. It is a look that many describe as feeling more than seeing, leaving a sense of dread that lingers long after the encounter ends. Moments later, the woman fades, dissolving into the thick fog that surrounds the bridge. The air grows noticeably colder, a chill that sinks deep into the bones and spreads like an invisible weight across the shoulders. The silence that follows is absolute, broken only by the distant sound of the creek or the rustle of leaves in the wind. Drivers often find themselves gripping the wheel, unsure if what they saw was a trick of the night or something far more sinister. The legend of Phelps Road Bridge has grown over decades, fueled by eyewitness accounts and local tales passed from one generation to the next. Some believe the ghostly woman is the spirit of someone who met a tragic end on or near the bridge. Others suggest she is a sentinel, bound to the location by unfinished business or unresolved sorrow. Regardless of the origin, her presence is undeniable to those who venture onto the bridge after dark. Travelers report a variety of experiences. Some see her as described, in a long white gown with hair falling over her face. Others hear faint footsteps echoing along the empty road, though no one else is there. A cold wind often sweeps across the bridge, sudden and biting. And in some instances, the fog thickens unnaturally, obscuring everything but the dim outline of the ghostly figure. Even those who attempt to turn away cannot shake the feeling of being watched. As if unseen eyes track every movement across the span. The atmosphere around Phelps Road Bridge shifts as night falls. The nearby trees cast long shadows over the concrete surface. And the fog drifts in waves, curling through the beams beneath the bridge. The once quiet creek now seems to murmur with hidden voices, adding to the sense of unease. Each element of the darkness, the mist, the silencia works together to create an environment in which the ordinary laws of perception no longer feel reliable. Some visitors attempt to document the phenomenon, capturing images or recording video. Frequently, the footage shows nothing at first glance, only to reveal in the shadows a faint, translucent figure when reviewed later. Many who have experienced this describe an overwhelming sense of presence. A feeling that the ghostly woman is not just a visual apparition but a force that can touch the senses. A presence that cannot be ignored. Phelps Road Bridge is more than a quiet rural structure. It is a crossroads of memory and legend, a place where the natural world and the unknown intersect. The ghostly woman is more than a simple tale of fright. She embodies the fears and unanswered questions of those who venture onto the bridge. Each encounter leaves an indelible mark on the mind, a lingering impression that the bridge holds more than the physical weight of concrete and steel. Despite the fear it evokes, the bridge continues to attract those curious enough to explore it. The combination of isolation, history, and legend makes it a compelling destination for anyone interested in the mysteries that linger just beyond the visible world. Visitors leave with stories of sudden chills, inexplicable sightings, and the lingering impression that they have come close to something otherworldly. As the fog thickens and the night grows deeper, the bridge remains in silence. The ghostly woman may appear again, standing at the far end of the span, her long gown flowing softly in a wind only she can feel. Hollow eyes meet those who approach, leaving a cold imprint on the soul. And when she fades into the mist, the chill remains, a reminder that some places carry echoes of the past that are never meant to be forgotten. Phelps Road Bridge endures as a haunting landmark, a place where stories of the supernatural intertwine with the natural beauty of Tioga County. Its reputation draws the curious, the brave, and the skeptical alike, all seeking a glimpse of the unknown. But at night it becomes a realm where legends walk among the living. And the ghostly woman in white waits, patient and eternal, for the next visitor who dares to cross. The Sutersville Ghost Bridge in Westmoreland County stands over calm waters by day, its aged structure blending seamlessly with the surrounding trees and quiet roads. Its weathered wooden planks and steel beams speak of decades past, carrying a history that is visible only to those willing to look closely. Locals whisper of strange encounters and unexplained phenomena that make the site one of the most unnerving in the region. Yet when darkness falls, the bridge transforms into something entirely different. The locals' whispers hint at an otherworldly presence lurking just beyond the veil of reality. Visitors often report seeing a dark figure pacing back and forth across the bridge. The shape is tall and shadowy, its movements jerky and unnatural. It does not move with the grace of a human, but with abrupt pauses and sudden shifts. Many describe a feeling of being watched long before they see it, a quiet tension that tightens in the chest, and makes each step toward the bridge feel heavier than the last. Those who approach the bridge sometimes experience a sudden pressure in their chest, as if something invisible is blocking their path. Even the most confident visitors pause, unable to move forward. The sensation is accompanied by an inexplicable chill that seeps into the bones, lingering long after they step away. It is a physical warning, one that speaks louder than words, and it has convinced many to turn back before reaching the center of the span. The bridge also seems to affect electronic devices in strange ways. Car headlights dim as vehicles approach, flickering as if struggling against an unseen resistance. Phones lose battery rapidly, screens glitch, and cameras fail to capture the full scene. Witnesses say that these malfunctions are unpredictable, sometimes happening moments after they arrive, other times occurring while standing still at the far end of the bridge. The interference adds an extra layer of unease, as though the bridge itself is actively resisting observation or recording. For those who dare to cross, the experience intensifies. Some report hearing a distant scream echoing across the water, a sound that seems to originate from nowhere and everywhere at once. The echo reverberates through the surrounding woods and over the surface of the river, lingering long enough to unnerve even the most composed. Following the scream, many describe the sound of running footsteps moving directly toward them. The noise grows steadily louder, though when they turn to look, no one is there. The footsteps stop abruptly once they reach the middle of the bridge, leaving only the sound of the wind through the planks. The atmosphere around the Sudlersville Ghost Bridge is thick with anticipation. Even without witnessing apparitions or hearing strange sounds, visitors often sense the weight of the place. Shadows seem to linger longer, moving against the natural flow of light. A faint mist occasionally rolls in from the water, curling around the bridge like an uninvited presence. Every detail contributes to a feeling that the bridge is alive, a conduit for stories and spirits that refuse to be forgotten. Locals have shared countless stories over the years, each one adding to the legend. Some speak of travelers who vanished temporarily, only to reappear hours later, dazed and unable to explain where they had been. Others have described seeing figures standing at the far end, watching silently before fading into darkness. Even those who come simply to walk across report an unshakable sense of dread that follows them long after they leave. The history of the bridge adds another layer to its mystique. Built decades ago, it has served as a crossing point for both travelers and locals. Witnessing countless journeys. Tragedies are rumored to have occurred here, though details are often scarce. What remains certain is that the bridge has a reputation that transcends its physical presence. A reputation shaped by the cumulative experiences of those who have dared to confront its mysteries. Visitors describe the bridge at night as an immersive experience. The cool air from the river below mixes with the faint creak of the planks underfoot. Shadows dance across the beams overhead, shifting with the wind and the movement of the trees. The echo of distant water is punctuated by occasional, unexplained noises. Every element contributes to a feeling of being caught between the present and something far older, something that exists just beyond the edge of perception. The dark figure remains the most persistent aspect of the hauntings. People claim it does not react to attempts at communication or observation. It simply paces, a silent sentinel across the span of the bridge. The jerky motion and inhuman timing give it an unsettling presence, one that communicates a sense of unfinished business. Its purpose is unknown, but its effect is undeniable. Even brief visits leave a lasting impression. Many describe a weight in their memories. A vivid awareness of the bridge as a place where time feels altered. And normal rules seem suspended. The combination of visual sightings, auditory disturbances, and physical sensations creates a fully immersive experience that is difficult to describe without feeling its intensity firsthand. The Sudlersville Ghost Bridge continues to attract curiosity seekers, paranormal enthusiasts, and those simply drawn to the stories of Westmoreland County. Every visit adds a new layer to its legend, reinforcing its status as a location where the unknown meets the tangible world. It is a bridge in the truest sense, not only connecting two sides of a river, but also bridging the living with the echoes of the past. As night deepens and the air grows still, the bridge stands silently over the water, awaiting its next visitor. The shadowy figure may return, pacing in its endless loop. The chill in the chest may reappear, pressing against anyone who dares to cross. Footsteps, screams, and faint whispers may fill the darkness once more. And through it all, the bridge remains, a timeless structure of wood and steel, holding stories, secrets, and the lingering presence of the unexplained for all who venture near. Mudlick Hollow Bridge rests deep in Fayette County, surrounded by thick forest that presses in from every side. The air feels heavier here, as though the trees themselves are holding their breath, and the silence stretches farther than it should. During daylight hours, the bridge seems ordinary. Moss creeps along its worn wooden planks, and the creek below gurgles softly, almost soothingly. Yet when darkness falls, the atmosphere changes. Shadows stretch unnaturally, and the forest hums with a quiet energy, subtle but deeply unsettling. Local legends suggest that long ago a small settlement occupied this remote valley. Few records remain, and the stories that persist are vague. But one detail remains constant. The town vanished without explanation. No abandoned homes, no forgotten belongings, only a clearing slowly reclaimed by the forest. Some speculate the residents left in a hurry. Others whisper that forces unknown claimed them. Whatever the truth, the memory of the vanished settlement lingers, whispered through the trees and felt by those who venture near. Travelers who cross the bridge at night often report the unnerving sensation of being watched. The feeling intensifies as they move deeper into the forest. Wind carries voices faint and layered, weaving together into a haunting chant. The words are unintelligible, musical in cadence, and impossible to ignore. It is not a single voice, but many, rising from different corners of the forest, blending into a chorus that is at once mesmerizing and alarming. Some interpret the sounds as warnings, others as invitations, but all recognize their inescapable presence. Alongside these voices, witnesses describe strange red lights flickering between the trees. These lights move deliberately, unlike fireflies or lanterns, as if observing those who traverse the bridge. Their glow is unnatural, deep and pulsing, shifting to follow the observer, always lingering at the edge of sight. Many who have seen them insist no earthly explanation suffices. They seem connected to the forest itself, manifestations of its hidden energy and history. The bridge becomes a focal point for these experiences. Drivers crossing after dark often notice the temperature drop, a tangible chill that seeps through clothing and skin. Even those who remain in their vehicles report a sense of presence at the edges of their vision. Something waits, patient and watchful, hovering just out of reach. Encounters extend beyond what can be seen or heard. Visitors have returned to find deep, jagged scratches along car doors and railings. The markings are too deliberate and precise to be caused by wildlife. Attempts to explain them as accidental damage fail. The scratches appear in the same locations repeatedly and seem to vanish only after the observer leaves the area. It is as if the forest records the intrusion, responding to human presence with tangible reminders that the bridge is not entirely welcoming. The forest surrounding Mudlick Hollow Bridge is alive with subtle, inexplicable movement. Trees sway in patterns that defy the wind. Shadows lengthen and twist, creating shapes that vanish when looked at directly. Shadows lengthen and twist, creating shapes that vanish when looked at directly. Even the sound of the creek below can become disorienting, rushing and quieting in ways that seem unnatural. Even the sound of the creek below can become disorienting, rushing and quieting in ways that seem unnatural. Those who linger feel compelled to move quickly, a primal instinct warning them not to stay, suggesting that the bridge itself enforces boundaries. Night after night, the experiences repeat. The chanting grows louder. The red lights appear. The scratches mark vehicles and planks. And the presence watching from the shadows remains. People describe a force that is not aggressive in a conventional sense, but entirely aware. Its patience magnifies the fear, creating an awareness in those who encounter it that lingers long after leaving the forest. Locals caution against visiting after dark. Experienced explorers note that paths shift. Landmarks seem displaced. And the voices intensify with time. The forest appears to remember every intrusion, responding in subtle but undeniable ways. It is an environment that respects few rules, where natural order bends to the unseen forces that inhabit it. The ordinary rules of nature feel suspended here. The forest preserves its secrets, and the bridge becomes the passage through which the living brush against what remains unseen. But all who experience the bridge at night carry away a sense that the ordinary world is thinner here. The bridge leaves more than memories. It leaves the impression that the forest watches and remembers. Each visitor adds another layer to its legacy, another chapter in the ongoing narrative of Mudlick Hollow. For those who pass through in silence, the forest remains patient, still, and secretive, holding its mysteries tightly among the trees, waiting for the next traveler to venture too far, too long, into its depths. Black Cross Bridge stretches across a quiet, darkened river in Elk County, its weathered structure barely visible beneath the overhanging trees. The bridge is unremarkable by day, framed by dense forest and the gentle flow of water beneath. But when night falls, the area transforms into a place steeped in mystery and unease. Locals speak of a black cross that appears and disappears on the nearby trees, a silent sentinel marking the bridge as a site of unusual energy. Its origin is unknown, and those who have tried to investigate find it gone upon return, leaving behind only a sense of dread and unanswered questions. Leaving behind only a sense of dread and unanswered questions. And those who have tried to investigate find it gone upon return, leaving behind only a sense of dread and unanswered questions. Travelers who venture across the bridge after sunset often report seeing lights above the water. At first, they appear as small glowing orbs, moving erratically and darting across the surface. The patterns are mesmerizing, almost hypnotic, yet there is an unmistakable tension in the air. The lights are not fireflies or reflections, for they move in ways that defy explanation, rising, falling, and weaving through the mist that often clings to the riverbanks. Some witnesses describe the orbs forming shapes, aligning in patterns that resemble human figures. One such figure is said to stand at the center of the bridge, composed entirely of shifting, luminous points. It watches silently, its presence palpable even though it does not move in the conventional sense. Those who encounter it describe an overwhelming feeling of being observed, as if the figure is aware of every step, every heartbeat. The air around the bridge grows colder, and an unsettling stillness blankets the area. The sensations do not stop with sight alone. Many have reported physical contact with something unseen. As people walk across the bridge, they feel cold hands clutching at their ankles, tugging and pulling as if trying to drag them to the ground. The force is subtle yet insistent, leaving a chill that penetrates deep into the bones. Some have stumbled and fallen, convinced that the invisible presence is determined to interact with any living soul who dares to cross at night. The bridge's reputation has grown over the years, reinforced by the experiences of those who leave shaken, pale, and breathless. Stories of encounters with glowing orbs, shadowy figures, and cold, grasping hands circulate quietly among locals, who warn outsiders to avoid the bridge after dark. They speak of the spirits here as restless and capricious, drawn to attention and curiosity, seeking any chance to connect with the living in ways both subtle and alarming. The forest surrounding Black Cross Bridge adds to the eerie atmosphere. Trees bend toward the river as though listening, their branches creaking with a sound that could be mistaken for whispers. Mist rises from the water, curling around the bridge and obscuring vision, making even familiar paths feel disorienting. The mist obscures vision, making familiar paths feel disorienting. Those who linger report a growing sensation of isolation, as if the world beyond the trees has disappeared entirely. Every snap of a branch or rustle of leaves becomes amplified, adding to the sense of being watched and measured. Time itself seems distorted here. Clocks seeming to lose track of minutes. And the distant sounds of water flowing mixing with whispers. They cannot comprehend. Some claim to hear muffled laughter or faint voices, layered together in a way that suggests many entities sharing the space simultaneously. The black cross itself is a constant, appearing intermittently on the trees, as though signaling that the area is under the guardianship of forces beyond understanding. For those who attempt to remain rational, the bridge defies explanation. Electrical interference cannot account for the lights. And no animal could produce the cold, deliberate touches reported by visitors. Photographs taken often show anomalies, faint glows or shapes that disappear when approached, leaving nothing but empty air. The phenomenon is consistent, recurring night after night, and it has inspired a combination of fear and fascination for decades. Locals advise that the bridge is a place not to be trifled with. To cross it after dark is to invite attention from something that lingers between worlds. A force that is neither wholly benevolent nor aggressively violent, but watchful and insistent. Those who approach cautiously may only see the lights from a distance, or hear the faint sound of water accompanied by whispers. Those who venture too close, however, often feel the tangible presence pressing against them. A reminder that some places are not meant to be understood. Black Cross Bridge endures as a place of mystery, drawing the brave, the curious, and the foolhardy alike. Each encounter adds to its legend, reinforcing the belief that the bridge sits at a crossroads of the natural and supernatural. Lights dance in impossible patterns, figures of glowing orbs take silent watch, and cold hands reach from unseen places, seeking connection. The bridge remains, steadfast and silent in the forest, marked by the enigmatic black cross that appears and disappears without warning. For those who drive past it, the river flows quietly, and the trees bend with the wind. But for those who stop, who cross its planks under the cover of darkness, Black Cross Bridge offers an experience that lingers, a haunting reminder that some places hold the attention of forces beyond comprehension, waiting for the next traveler to test their courage, curiosity, and the boundary between the living and the unseen. Harmony Road Bridge stretches quietly over a narrow creek in Butler County, its metal framework creaking faintly under the weight of time. By day, it appears ordinary, a simple crossing in the middle of rural scenery, but as night falls, the atmosphere shifts. Fog often drifts across the road, curling around the beams of the bridge and hiding the dark water below. Shadows lengthen, and the wind carries an unnatural stillness that seems to press in from all directions. Locals tell of a man who vanished on this road long ago, his disappearance never fully explained. Legend says his spirit now wanders the area, eternally searching for a family he could never find. Travelers who dare to cross the bridge at night speak of a lone figure walking slowly along its span. The man moves with deliberate heaviness, as if each step carries a lifetime of grief and regret. His presence is silent but weighty, a figure both sorrowful and unsettling. Those who approach describe a terrifying encounter. The figure turns, and the face revealed is featureless, smooth and empty, as though a mask of shadow has replaced all human expression. Then, as suddenly as it appears, the figure dissolves into a thick mist that spreads across the bridge, leaving behind a chilling cold and the faint echo of footsteps that vanish into the night. The experience is brief but leaves a deep impression, the kind that lingers long after the encounter ends. Some travelers report hearing whispers carried by the wind. The words are soft and elusive, barely audible over the rustle of leaves and the distant murmur of the creek below. Sometimes the voice forms a simple question, repeated over and over in the darkness: "Where are you?" The question feels both desperate and hollow, a call that seeks a response yet receives none. It is as if the spirit's grief has etched itself into the very air, lingering on the bridge in invisible waves. The atmosphere around Harmony Road Bridge changes subtly as the night deepens. The fog thickens, obscuring the beams and metal railings. And the sound of a passing car is muted, absorbed by the quiet that dominates the area. Those who linger too long describe an oppressive feeling. A sensation of being watched from all sides, though no other figure can be seen. Some have attempted to capture evidence of the haunting. Photographs often show only darkness, but on closer inspection, faint outlines appear in the mist. A shadowy figure, blurred and undefined, seems to move against the fog. And sometimes the image reveals a smooth, featureless face where none should exist. Video recordings occasionally capture unexplained movements, lights flickering, or the subtle sound of footsteps echoing across the metal floor of the bridge. Each instance reinforces the stories passed down through generations. The legend of Harmony Road Bridge has endured because of its consistency. Travelers who approach the bridge from different directions often report similar experiences. The slow-moving figure, the featureless face, and the haunting whispers remain constant elements in these accounts. Some suggest the spirit is tied to the location, bound by the tragedy of his disappearance and the unfulfilled need to reunite with his lost family. Others believe the bridge itself acts as a threshold, a place where unresolved sorrow lingers and manifests to those sensitive to its presence. Despite the fear it inspires, the bridge continues to attract those seeking the unknown. Paranormal enthusiasts, thrill seekers, and curious locals all come to experience the haunting for themselves. They find that the legend is more than a simple story, it is an encounter with something beyond the ordinary. A moment when grief and mystery converge in the quiet isolation of the night. Each person leaves with a story to tell, whether it is a sighting, a whisper, or the unmistakable chill that follows the disappearance of the figure into the mist. Harmony Road Bridge stands as a silent witness to these events. By day, it is an ordinary structure, yet by night it transforms into a realm where the natural and supernatural intertwine. The fog, the darkness, and the stillness all contribute to the eerie ambience, shaping each experience into a tale that is uniquely unsettling. The bridge holds the sorrow of the missing man, a presence that walks in silence, seeking answers that will never come. Even for those who have never encountered the figure, the bridge leaves a mark on the imagination. The thought of a spirit wandering the fog-covered span, searching endlessly and calling out in desperation, creates an awareness of unseen realities just beyond perception. Harmony Road Bridge becomes a symbol of the unknown. A reminder that some places carry echoes of loss and grief that remain long after the living have moved on. As the night grows deeper and the fog thickens, the metal structure stands silent. The ghostly figure may appear again, walking slowly along the bridge, its steps measured and sorrowful. The featureless face turns toward anyone brave enough to watch. And the whispering question drifts across the cold air. Where are you? The presence fades as it always does, dissolving into mist, yet the chill it leaves behind endures. Harmony Road Bridge remains an enduring testament to local legend and spectral mystery. It is a place where stories of loss, searching, and the unexplained converge, inviting those who seek the unknown to witness a haunting that has persisted for decades. The bridge is quiet by day, but at night it carries the weight of grief, sorrow, and unanswered questions, offering a glimpse into a world where the living and the spirits of the past coexist, separated only by fog and darkness. White Church Bridge rests quietly in Lawrence County, hidden among thick trees that block out much of the daylight. Nearby stands an abandoned church, long forgotten, its walls weathered and crumbling, the bell tower broken for decades. The air in this place feels different, heavy with silence that presses in from every direction, broken only by the occasional creak of old wood or rustle of leaves. During the day, the bridge appears ordinary, a simple wooden crossing over a narrow stream. Moss clings to its supports, and the creek below trickles lazily, reflecting fragments of the surrounding forest. But after dark, the ordinary turns strange. Shadows stretch unnaturally along the path, and a sense of awareness seems to linger, as though the forest itself watches those who dare to enter. Visitors crossing the bridge report hearing the faint ringing of church bells. The sound is soft at first, almost imagined, but it grows in clarity and resonance as they move closer. The bells ring in a slow, mournful rhythm, though the tower has been broken for decades. No mechanism exists to produce the sound, yet it echoes through the trees, surrounding the bridge in an otherworldly hymn. Some who approach the church hear footsteps within the empty halls, echoing through the darkened corridors. The sounds move with purpose, as though someone unseen is pacing, and eventually seem to drift toward the bridge itself. Each step is deliberate, heavy, and impossible to ignore. Visitors describe an instinctive tension, a sense that the footsteps are aware of their presence, following them, observing silently from just beyond sight. Shadowy figures often appear along the path leading to the bridge. The figures are tall and thin, with heads bowed and arms swaying gently, as if caught in some slow, eternal dance. The movement is eerily calm, almost hypnotic, drawing attention without ever seeming threatening. Their presence is fleeting. The moment anyone attempts to approach, the figures dissolve like smoke, vanishing into the night air with a whisper of wind. Vanishing into the night air with a whisper of wind. The bridge itself seems to amplify the haunting sensations. A chill creeps into the bones of those who cross, a cold that is felt even through layers of clothing. Wood underfoot creaks not simply from weight, but in ways that suggest the planks respond to unseen footsteps. Some report a sense of pressure, as if unseen eyes are fixed on every movement, following each step with quiet patience. Visitors often notice subtle changes in the environment. Shadows appear deeper, stretching in directions that defy logic. Sounds seem distorted, the rustle of leaves and the trickle of water blending with ghostly echoes into an eerie symphony. Even the wind seems purposeful, carrying whispers that are faint but distinctly human in cadence, drifting through the air and brushing against those who linger too long. Beyond visual and auditory phenomena, there are reports of physical sensations. Some claim to feel a brush along the shoulder, a tug at clothing, or a cold hand hovering near their back. Others describe sudden goosebumps and an undeniable sense of urgency, as if the bridge itself warns them to move along. Objects left on or near the bridge sometimes appear displaced, shifted slightly as though nudged by unseen hands, reinforcing the feeling that the area is alive with unseen activity. The church and its surrounding forest contribute to the intensity of the experience. Trees twist and lean in ways that obscure familiar landmarks, creating the impression of a shifting landscape. Paths seem to lengthen, leading visitors farther into the darkness than intended, while familiar sights fade or warp. The interplay of light and shadow heightens the sense of disorientation, making the ordinary appear strange and unpredictable. Night after night, accounts repeat. Bells ringing, footsteps pacing, figures moving in silence. The chill, the pressure, the subtle movements in the environmenta all converge into an atmosphere that is at once mournful and watchful. Those who linger often describe a sense of being recorded, remembered by forces that have existed long before human memory. It is not aggressive in a violent sense, but it is deliberate, aware, and persistent. White Church Bridge remains a place where the ordinary rules of nature feel suspended. The abandoned church, the surrounding forest, and the bridge itself form a threshold between the world of the living and a lingering presence that cannot be named. Visitors are drawn by curiosity, thrill-seeking, or local legend. But all who experience the bridge at night carry away a sense of vigilance. A feeling that the area has taken notice of their passage. The stories endure, whispered among locals and passed along by those who dared to cross after dark. Each visitor adds another layer to the bridge's legacy, another chapter in the quiet history of a place where shadows linger. Bells toll without hands, and figures vanish like smoke. For those who leave without hesitation, the forest remains patient, keeping its secrets tightly woven among the trees. Waiting for the next traveler to cross White Church Bridge and step into its enduring mystery. Pond Road Bridge in Clinton County stretches quietly over a narrow creek, its wooden planks worn smooth by decades of traffic. By day, it appears ordinary, a simple crossing amidst the dense forest. Yet as darkness falls, the bridge transforms into a place shrouded in unease, where whispers of strange sightings and inexplicable events have captured the attention of locals and travelers alike. People report the presence of a tall, thin figure roaming the bridge at night. Its limbs appear elongated, stretching in ways that defy normal human proportions. Witnesses often describe its eyes as glowing faintly, reflecting the dim light of passing cars. The figure is not seen standing idly, but crouched, hunched unnaturally over the railing. Its head snapping toward anyone who ventures near. Drivers crossing the bridge late at night have recounted experiences that are both unsettling and difficult to explain. They speak of catching a glimpse of the creature from the corner of their eyes, frozen for a moment, only for it to lunge with sudden motion. The sensation of being watched intensifies as headlights illuminate the empty road, revealing a form that seems impossibly tall, impossibly thin, and yet undeniably present. Some claim that the figure follows vehicles, keeping pace even as cars accelerate away from the bridge. The idea that something can traverse the woods at such impossible speed adds a tangible weight of fear, creating the feeling that the forest itself is alive, reacting to the presence of those who dare enter. Others have experienced more direct contact. Handprints appear on windows, elongated and claw-like, only to vanish moments later. The prints often startle drivers, leaving an eerie residue of contact that cannot be explained. It is as though the creature is aware of its observers, choosing moments of interaction that are brief yet deeply unsettling. The suddenness of these experiences leaves a lasting impression, a reminder that the boundary between the ordinary and the unknown is fragile at Pond Road Bridge. The atmosphere around the bridge is thick with tension, enhanced by the isolation of the surrounding forest. Mist often drifts along the creek, curling around the wooden beams and hiding the shadows within. The combination of limited visibility, natural sounds, and the possibility of the creature's presence makes even brief crossings feel like a test of courage. Locals have shared numerous stories over the years, each adding layers to the legend. Some speak of fleeting glimpses, others of entire encounters that seem impossible to rationalize. Children whisper of the glowing eyes, warning friends to avoid the bridge after dark. Drivers, hikers, and night travelers tell tales of an unshakable feeling of being followed, an awareness that cannot be ignored. Each story reinforces the reputation of the bridge as a place where the unknown lingers, patient and observant. Witnesses describe the creature's behavior as deliberate and almost calculated. It crouches low, observing, sometimes remaining perfectly still as if assessing those who pass. Then, with sudden motion, it reappears, closer than before, creating an escalating sense of urgency. The combination of visual sightings, physical sensations, and the eerie quiet of the forest produces an experience that is immersive, forcing those who encounter it to confront the possibility of something truly beyond the ordinary. The experience is not limited to visual or tactile encounters. Many report an oppressive feeling, a pressure in the chest that intensifies as they near the center of the bridge. The air seems heavier, the night sounds muted, as though the bridge itself is holding its breath. Even without seeing the creature directly, the sensation is enough to convince many to cross quickly, eyes darting to every shadow, ears straining for any unnatural sound. Fog and mist often enhance the haunting presence, swirling across the planks and along the creek. Shadows appear to stretch and twist, forming shapes that seem almost human, yet impossibly distorted. The interplay of light and darkness, natural and supernatural, creates an environment that is both visually and psychologically disorienting. Every element reinforces the idea that Pond Road Bridge is more than a simple crossing, it is a place where the boundary between the known and unknown is tenuous and permeable. Even brief encounters leave a lasting impression. Witnesses report the lingering feeling of being followed long after leaving the area, a memory that refuses to fade. The creature's presence, whether fully seen or only sensed, creates a lasting narrative of fear and fascination. The bridge becomes not just a location, but an experience, a place that tests perception, courage, and the limits of understanding. Pond Road Bridge continues to draw those intrigued by the unexplained. Paranormal enthusiasts, thrill seekers, and locals alike are drawn by the stories, each hoping to witness something extraordinary. Every visit contributes to the legend, reinforcing the Bridge's status as a site where the unknown takes form. Whether in shadow, sound, or sudden sensation. As night deepens and the forest grows still, the bridge remains, silent yet alive. The tall, thin figure may return, crouched along the railing, watching, waiting. Handprints may appear on windows, glowing eyes may follow from the darkness, and the air may grow thick with a presence that cannot be ignored. The bridge stands as a reminder that some places are touched by the inexplicable, where ordinary crossings become encounters with the mysterious, and where stories continue to grow with every visitor brave enough to venture near. Tannery Road Bridge spans a narrow, winding section of river in Wyoming County. Its wooden planks worn smooth by years of passage. By day, the bridge appears ordinary, framed by dense forest and the slow murmur of water beneath. Yet as dusk falls, an unsettling quiet descends, heavier than the usual night sounds. As if the trees themselves are holding their breath in anticipation. Locals tell the story of a man who worked at a nearby tannery long ago, a man whose life ended abruptly in a machinery accident close to the riverbank. Ever since, those who cross the bridge after dark report encounters that defy explanation. The first signs are often auditory, subtle at first, then increasingly impossible to ignore. Heavy chains seem to scrape along the wooden planks, clattering and dragging, echoing across the water. This is followed by a low moan, sorrowful and guttural, drifting from one end of the bridge to the other. The sound carries a weight of anguish, and those who hear it often feel a chill run through their entire body. Witnesses who linger on the bridge report seeing a figure near the railing, a shadowy silhouette slumped with an air of exhaustion and despair. Its form is dimly lit by the pale moonlight, revealing dark stains along its clothing, as though it carries the weight of some unseen burden. The figure does not move quickly, yet its presence is unmistakable, a haunting reminder of the life lost here decades ago. Approaching the apparition is not advised, though curiosity often compels some to step closer. The shadow seems aware of movement, and as one nears, it slowly lifts its head. What is revealed is a hollow face, devoid of expression, staring straight ahead with empty eyes. The encounter is fleeting. In a heartbeat, the figure vanishes, leaving only the whisper of wind through the trees and the lingering echo of its moan. The bridge itself contributes to the eerie atmosphere. Each plank creaks with a hollow resonance, and the river below reflects the moonlight in ways that seem almost unnatural. Mist often rises from the water at night, curling around the edges of the bridge and dampening sound, making even familiar footsteps feel strange and isolated. Shadows stretch unnaturally across the bridge, twisting and shifting with every passing breeze. Many who visit Tannery Road Bridge describe a sense of being watched. An invisible presence that lingers just beyond perception. The surrounding woods seem alive, amplifying every creak, rustle, and sigh. Seeking recognition or perhaps the closure that never came. Photographs taken at night often reveal faint anomalies. Wisps of light or dark shapes along the railing that disappear. When the camera is adjusted. Electronic devices occasionally malfunction in the area, adding to the sense that the bridge exists on the edge of something unseen. A place where the natural and supernatural intersect. Locals advise that crossing the bridge alone after dark is unwise. The stories have been passed down for generations, growing in detail and intensity with each new account. Those brave enough to venture there speak of a deep unease, a feeling that the bridge itself remembers the events of the past and reacts to the living with subtle, chilling signs. Despite its haunted reputation, the bridge draws a mix of thrill seekers and curious visitors. They come hoping to witness the unexplained, to feel the presence that others describe. or to catch a glimpse of the shadowy figure. Many leave unsettled, aware that the experience is something beyond their comprehension. A reminder that some places are imprinted with the tragedies of history, refusing to let go. Tannery Road Bridge stands as a testament to memory and loss, a location where the past continues to echo through the present. Each creaking plank, each whispering wind, and every glimpse of a shadowy form reminds visitors that what happened here long ago has left a permanent mark. The ghost of the tannery worker remains, leaning against the railing, bound to the bridge by the circumstances of his death, a silent observer of all who dare to cross in the quiet of night. Even on the stillest nights, the bridge carries a weight beyond its physical structure. The water flows beneath, unchanging and indifferent, while the chains and moans linger in the imagination of those who listen closely. The figure, slumped and hollow, may vanish when approached, yet its presence is undeniable, etched into the very essence of the bridge and the surrounding woods. Tannery Road Bridge continues to draw those who are intrigued by the paranormal, offering a chilling reminder that some tragedies never fade. Each visit, each story, and each unexplained sound reinforces the legend, ensuring that the ghostly figure by the railing remains a quiet, haunting sentinel over the river, waiting for the next traveler to step into its domain. Huff Road Bridge sits quietly in Clearfield County, surrounded by thick trees and the low hum of rural life. By day, it appears unremarkable, a simple wooden structure stretching across a narrow creek, its boards weathered and worn. Yet, as night falls, the atmosphere changes, and the bridge takes on a presence far heavier than its simple construction suggests. Shadows gather beneath its beams, and the air grows colder, carrying with it a sense of unease that settles into the bones of anyone nearby. Locals describe Huff Road Bridge as one of the most unsettling places in the county. Visitors tell of muffled screams emanating from beneath the bridge, as if someone is trapped inside the structure itself. The sounds are faint at first, easily mistaken for the wind or distant wildlife, but those who pause and listen closely swear the cries are human, filled with terror and desperation. The voices seem to come from nowhere and everywhere at once, echoing against the wooden planks and the water below, leaving a lingering tension that is difficult to shake. Even on warm summer nights, people report sudden icy gusts that sweep across the bridge, chilling the skin and causing a shiver to run through the body. The wind seems unnatural, carrying a presence that cannot be seen but is profoundly felt. It twists through the gaps in the wood and rattles the supports, creating a haunting symphony of movement that amplifies the sense of dread. Visitors often notice strange claw marks etched into the wooden planks of the bridge. These marks are deep and jagged, appearing fresh despite the passage of time. Some say they are the result of a desperate struggle, though no record exists of anyone or anything being harmed here. The marks add to the unsettling feeling of the bridge, as if the wood itself remembers past horrors and manifests them for anyone willing to look closely. Those crossing Huff Road Bridge in vehicles after dark sometimes report seeing glowing eyes beneath the structure. The eyes watch silently, fixed on the car as it passes. Drivers describe a sensation of being observed, a presence following them as they drive, though the headlights reveal nothing and the road behind remains empty. The eyes vanish as quickly as they appear, leaving only the lingering feeling that some Ania or something remains nearby, unseen and patient. The atmosphere around the bridge seems to thicken as night deepens. Trees bend in the wind, shadows stretch across the road, and the low murmur of the creek below becomes almost conversational. Many who linger too long describe a sense of being watched from all angles, as if the bridge itself has become a guardian of a secret that it refuses to release. Every step on the wooden planks echoes unnaturally, a reminder that the structure is more than it seems, and that every creak carries the weight of history and mystery. Some visitors have tried to document the strange occurrences at Huff Road Bridge. Photographs often capture nothing but darkness, yet in some images, faint outlines appear beneath the bridge. Shapes emerge in the shadows, blurred and indistinct, sometimes accompanied by a subtle, unnatural glow. Videos occasionally capture unexplainable movements, shadows shifting against the beams, or the distant sound of footsteps that do not belong to anyone present. Each piece of evidence reinforces the chilling reputation the bridge has cultivated over the years. The legend of Huff Road Bridge endures because of these consistent reports. The sounds, the sudden cold, the marks, and the eyes are experiences shared across generations of locals and travelers. Some believe the bridge has become a threshold, a place where lingering sorrow and unresolved energy manifest. Others suggest it is haunted by someone lost, someone whose presence refuses to leave and whose story remains untold. Whatever the cause, the bridge continues to draw the curious, those seeking to witness a mystery that has stood the test of time. Despite the fear it inspires, the bridge is not abandoned. Travelers, thrill-seekers, and paranormal enthusiasts still venture here, crossing its worn planks and peering into the shadows. Those who do often leave with stories that blur the line between imagination and reality. A fleeting cry, a cold gust, the glint of eyes in the darkness, or the sensation of unseen fingers brushing against the skeena all combine to create an encounter that lingers long after the bridge is behind them. Huff Road Bridge stands as a silent witness to these events. By day it is simple and unassuming. But by night it becomes a stage for the unknown. The fog that sometimes drifts through the trees. The chill of the air, and the whisper of the water below. All contribute to a sense of suspense and dread. Every visitor senses the presence of something unseen. A weight of grief and mystery that fills the space beneath and around the structure. Even for those who never hear the cries or see the eyes. The bridge leaves an impression. The thought of a lingering spirit, a trapped energy, or a secret hidden in the shadows evokes a fascination with the unknown. Huff Road Bridge becomes more than a crossing. It is a place where the living meet echoes of the past. Where the natural and the supernatural intertwine. And where every step taken at night carries with it the weight of stories untold and mysteries unresolved. As the night deepens, the bridge remains still yet alive with energy. The fog thickens, the air chills, and the shadows beneath the beams lengthen. The cries may resound once more, the claw marks may glint faintly in the moonlight, and the eyes may return to watch silently. Huff Road Bridge is a place where the unknown waits patiently, a haunting presence that is as enduring as the wooden planks and metal supports that have carried countless travelers across its span. The bridge continues to hold its secrets, inviting those willing to venture into the darkness to confront the inexplicable. Each crossing is a test of courage and a brush with the unknown. Huff Road Bridge is a testament to local legend and spectral mystery. Where grief and curiosity meet. And where the unexplained quietly asserts its presence for anyone daring enough to look. 7 Bridges Road winds quietly through the forests of Delaware County, flanked by trees that crowd close to the asphalt, their limbs twisting toward the sky. But as night falls, the atmosphere transforms. Shadows stretch across the pavement, and the stillness takes on a weight that presses against anyone who dares to travel the road. The road is named for its 7 old bridges, each built from stone or wood decades ago, weathered and worn by time. Locals say each bridge holds its own story, dark and lingering. And those who drive the entire stretch at night feel a change by the time they emerge at the end. It is a transformation subtle at first, an uneasy awareness that the ordinary world has thinned. As if the night itself is different along this path. Travelers recount strange experiences beginning with the first bridge. Lights flicker unpredictably, as if someone unseen manipulates them, and shadows move across the road in shapes that do not match passing trees. Figures occasionally appear among the forest, tall and indistinct, frozen in place as though observing the vehicle before disappearing when looked at directly. The air grows heavier, carrying a tension that is both psychological and physical, pressing against the chest and quickening the pulse. By the second and third bridges, reports intensify. Drivers hear footsteps on the roof of their cars, light at first, then more insistent, keeping pace as they speed across the bridge. Some say the sounds are accompanied by faint tapping on windows, a rhythm that seems designed to provoke unease. Others describe a sensation of being followed, a presence unseen that mirrors their every movement, lingering just beyond sight. The fourth and fifth bridges bring a deepening sense of isolation. Trees seem to close in on the road, forming archways of limbs that blot out moonlight. Shadows twist unnaturally, stretching across the pavement and along the sides of the vehicle. Faint whispers ride on the wind, layered and indistinct, as though a chorus of voices drifts through the forest. Sounds are impossible to locate, yet their direction seems intentional, moving with the car as though observing every turn and every stop. By the sixth bridge, the air itself feels different. Cold spots appear inside the vehicle, touching skin and chilling the bones. The road seems longer than it should, curves sharper, and the familiar landmarks of day are warped by darkness and shadow. Figures occasionally appear at the periphery, indistinct but humanoid, their presence marked by the shifting of shadows or a flicker of movement in the tree-line. Even when nothing is seen, drivers report a sense of vigilance, as if every step and turn is noted by something patient and waiting. The seventh bridge is said to be the climax of the journey. Footsteps on the roof intensify, rapid and deliberate, synchronized with the rhythm of the vehicle. Some claim to see fleeting figures moving among the trees, racing alongside the car before vanishing without warning. The air carries a pressure that is both physical and psychological, a tangible reminder that the road is no longer ordinary. Escape from the seventh bridge is often described as a relief tempered with lasting unease. The sounds vanish, shadows recede, and the road beyond begins to feel normal once more. Yet the experience leaves a mark. Many drivers report a lingering awareness of being watched long after they leave the area. The ordinary shadows and sounds feel charged with meaning. Local legend preserves these experiences, passed down by those who have dared to drive the road after dark. Some speak of spirits of long-forgotten travelers, others of guardians of the bridges, observing, recording, and responding to those who pass. The exact nature of the phenomena remains unknown, yet the consistency of reports across decades lends weight to the tales. Seven Bridges Road is more than a rural route. It is a corridor between worlds, a threshold where light and shadow, past and present, known and unknown, meet and blur. Each bridge stands as a marker of tension, a point where reality feels fragile, and the ordinary is suspended. Those who venture here after nightfall carry the memory of an experience that is both thrilling and unsettling, a journey into the hidden layers of the forest, and the unexplained forces that dwell within it. The road continues to draw the curious, the brave, and the skeptical alike. Every passage adds to the legacy, every new witness another voice in the ongoing story of Seven Bridges Road. And as the night deepens, the forest waits, patient and silent, ready for the next traveler to cross its seven bridges and step into the realm where shadows watch, footsteps follow, and the ordinary rules of the world no longer fully apply. Shades of Death Bridge in Monroe County has long been regarded as one of Pennsylvania's most unsettling landmarks. The road leading to it is narrow and winding, flanked by ancient trees whose branches twist toward the sky like skeletal hands. Locals warn that this is not a road to travel lightly, especially after dark. Stories surrounding the bridge speak of spirits and strange creatures that roam the surrounding woods. Travelers often recount a feeling of being watched long before reaching the bridge. The forest seems alive, filled with the rustle of unseen movements and the sudden snapping of twigs that vanish into the darkness. Every step closer brings a tangible sense of anticipation, a quiet dread that settles in the chest and refuses to dissipate. Those who cross the bridge after midnight describe ghostly figures rising from the ravine below. Their forms drift upward as if gravity has little hold over them. Bodies appear transparent, distorted, flickering between shapes that are human and yet not. The figures hover silently, creating the impression that the past itself is reaching up from the shadows to touch the present. The air grows colder, heavy with the weight of unseen presence. At the center of the bridge, witnesses have reported seeing a massive black shadow figure standing unmoving, blocking the path. Its size seems impossible, stretching taller than any normal human, with a stillness that makes time feel suspended. Some drivers feel an invisible pressure, a sense of force that compels them to stop and stare, heart pounding, mind struggling to reconcile what they see with what they know. Electrical anomalies often accompany these encounters. Engines have failed unexpectedly, headlights flicker, and phone batteries die in moments. The sudden silence that follows is disorienting. All the natural sounds of the forest vanish, leaving only the echo of the wind or a distant whisper that cannot be located. The effect is immersive, a combination of the visual, the auditory, and the unexplainable physical sensations that make the bridge a place that lingers in memory long after leaving. Some accounts describe more subtle manifestations. Shadows shift along the sides of the bridge, moving independently of any source of light. Faint figures appear at the edges of vision, vanishing when attention is directed toward them. Travelers report chills that creep across the skin, not caused by temperature, but by an undeniable awareness of unseen observers. The feeling is pervasive, wrapping around the senses and magnifying every sound, every movement, and every heartbeat. The atmosphere is further intensified by the natural surroundings, forming shapes that seem almost human. And the faint outline of figures can appear on the wooden planks, as if the bridge itself remembers the tragedies of the past. Historical accounts suggest the bridge has long been a site of accidents, misfortune, and unexplained deaths. These events are often cited as the origin of the haunting, though the exact nature of the spirits remains a mystery. Some believe the entities are bound to the site by unfinished business, others suspect that the bridge serves as a thin veil between the living and the departed. Regardless of explanation, those who experience the bridge firsthand cannot deny the intensity of its presence. Even brief crossings can leave a lasting impression. Drivers recount moments when every sense is heightened, when the world outside the bridge seems to vanish, leaving only the sound of their own breathing, the creak of wooden planks, and the sensation of eyes following from every direction. Legends have grown over decades, carried by locals and travelers alike. The stories evolve with each retelling, blending fact and folklore into a tapestry that makes the bridge even more enigmatic. Some claim that those who ignore the warnings experience near misses, sudden health scares, or glimpses of figures that vanish when approached. Others say the bridge is a place where time itself feels distorted, moments stretching and compressing in ways that are impossible to measure. Shades of Death Bridge endures as a symbol of the unknown, a place where the boundary between the natural and supernatural feels impossibly thin. The combination of haunting figures, eerie sounds, and the oppressive presence of the forest creates an environment that is immersive and unforgettable. Every traveler who approaches senses the weight of history and the possibility that some spirits do not rest. As night deepens, the bridge stands silently above the ravine, shrouded in mist and shadow. Figures may rise from the darkness, a black shadow may block the path, and unseen eyes may follow each movement. Engines may fail, lights may flicker, and the forest may seem alive with whispers and rustling sounds. Engines may fail, lights may flicker, and the forest may seem alive with whispers and rustling sounds. Shades of Death Bridge remains a place where the ordinary becomes extraordinary, where legends linger, and where every crossing is a test of courage, perception, and the willingness to confront the mysterious in the heart of Monroe County. Thank you for joining this journey across the most haunted bridges in Pennsylvania. These crossings are more than stone, wood, and steel. They are reminders of the past, markers of tragedy, and echoes of the lives that once passed over them. Some of these spirits linger in sadness, others in confusion, and a few in anger, still searching for answers that were never given. If you ever find yourself crossing a lonely bridge late at night, listen closely, because the whispers of history might still be calling your name. Until next time. Stay safe. Stay curious. And remember, the past is never as quiet as it seems.